Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So I'm going to go ahead and get these side rails finished up so we can kind of set these aside and go to work on the other rails and the web frames. So to do these, I just, off camera, I created a quick little template, cut to exact length. I used my drawing bow, and we're just going to get these marked on here. We're going to get these taken apart, take them over to the bandsaw, get them cut out, cleaned up, etc. And at this point, all these parts are dedicated to a particular location. So everything I do will go back in. So I took the time to number each one of these joints, so everything will go back. Hopefully that pays off in the long run. So let's get these marked up and get over to the bandsaw. Okay, so there's the curves all in them. The sides are pretty close to done now, except for actually fitting the plywood panels in, which we'll do a little bit later. Next up, we're going to get the back rails in so we can dry fit the whole carcass together and get our measurements for the web frame. So the back rails are next. Okay, so my lower back rail is cut to 25 inches wide, which will be the inside dimension of the carcass. And this particular one is cut to 2 inches wide instead of 1.5 inches because it's going to have a 1/2 inch wide, 1/4 inch deep groove for that back panel to sit in. So all I'm going to do is cut that out here now. So with the help of a lot of clamps, I got a little bit of a dry fit there, so I can go ahead and mark for the dominoes. I'm not going to actually cut those yet, but I wanted to get my marks for them since I've gone to all that trouble to do that dry fit. So while I've got this fit up going, I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and mark my notch for the back. Now I can go further into this bottom rail with my notch so I don't have to square off corners, but at least I know exactly where I have to go for that back notch to accept the panel and the legs. Okay, so the upper rear leg needs to have that 1/4 inch setback in there, and your leg width will determine what this rail width is. So in my case, I was about 1 5/8. And then this will get dominoed in. So while I've got it clamped up, I'll get my measurements for that and get ready to set the domino. Okay, so now that that back rail is in, I can go ahead and just double check my 1/4 inch lines, make sure they're good, make sure they're marked well on the leg. And we're ready to move on to the front rail. Okay, this top front rail is pretty much just like the back rail. Just got to get it marked and dominoed in place. Okay, so the bottom rail is just a little bit different. It's 8/4 instead of 4/4 because I need both directions on this rail. So I've already got it marked for the curve in the front, and while it's here, I'm going to go ahead and mark for the dominoes, and then I'll take these apart and use the domino to go ahead and cut them. Well, there you go, guys. There's a dry fit. I'm super happy with how square it is. I'm going to spend the next little bit here and get everything labeled really well. We have to take it apart next to do the notches in the back legs to accept the panel, as well as start getting going on the web frames. So give me just a little bit of time here and I'll get everything labeled up, and then we'll go after those back legs. Okay, I've got everything pulled apart. I've got it well labeled. Got still the same 1/2 inch bit that was in here before. I haven't even moved the fence, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut those notches for the back panel now. Well, there it is. Got the rabbet all cut in the back section there. It's all ready to take the back panel. So moving on, we're going to go on to web frames next. Okay, so back in an earlier video when I showed you the layout on the legs, I had already laid out for all of the web frames. So I went ahead and built this jig to take my collet and a 1/2 inch bit to route out those locations. And then we'll come back and we'll square them up with a chisel. So that's what we're going to do. So I thought I'd take you a second here and show you the jig and kind of how it works a little closer and from my side. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just some plywood, some screws, and a little strip glued in the center there. And then of course everything just clamps to my bench here to hold everything stable. So it's got a center line, and each one of the mortises has a center line. And there you can see it even a little bit closer. And then of course the depth stop on the router is set for a 1/2 inch. So that's how these mortises are made, and then we just come back with the chisel and get them cleaned up. Okay, so all the notches are in, they fit really good, and I was going to go to sanding this all out and getting it ready and get the panels fit, and then I decided I'm going to put a couple of tapers on the legs. And I got Mel to draw a new rendition of it to show those feet, and I'll put that here on the screen so you can see. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those tapers in the feet next. And then I'll go about getting this all sanded and we'll get ready for panels. I am, while I've got it in clamps here, going to grab my measurements for those panels. All right, so there they are. Got a rough sanding on them. Got all the tapers and the legs done. Everything fits up nicely and square. I got my measurements for the back panels. And that's what we're going to get going on next, is the back panels. Okay, dry fit looks good, so we'll go ahead and get that glued up. Okay, well there you go, guys. Gonna just let these cure up. We're gonna call that a wrap for this video. When we get going next time, we'll start getting going on these web frames, and this thing will finally start looking like a chest of drawers. So until then, take care, guys.